Welcome to another unit in this Excel course. This unit, I'm going to tell you how you can use different design elements to call specific macros. So imagine you already have some macros. So from the previous unit, I have my macro here, erase one row. So this always erases the second row. And if I want to run this, but I don't always want to go developer menu, click on macros, select this, click run, but want to do this with a simple button which I can click, that's where here the control parts come into play. So I can first switch into my design mode. That's where I basically can change these objects. Then with insert, I have different things I can insert. First thing is command buttons, but I also have, like, here we can see this, combo boxes, I have check boxes, I have different other things. Interesting enough here is, or additionally interesting is, option buttons or specific text inputs, like those things. But well, the most commonly used thing, that's why it's also the first one, is the command button. So I can just select this, then select this, and then just click somewhere here. Then he directly asks me to assign this a specific macro. So I can, for example, click here and say, well, I assign you the erase one row macro. Click OK. So I get my button here. If I click inside the button, I can then rename this. So let's call this erase button. And I can make this smaller or larger if I want. Putting this down here. So whenever I'm finished, I'm clicking on design mode again. So if I go back, I cannot select the button anymore. So now it actually becomes an active button, which does something as soon as I click it. If I go back to design mode, I could select the button again. Not this context, but this is required to actually change the button once more. So here now design mode is deactivated. So if ever I click the button, he will just erase here the second row. Let's test this. Click here, second row erased. Click this again, second row erased. Well, the button moves upwards because it's anchored to a specific cell. So if I erase this often enough, the button will erase itself. So that's why I'm going to stop at this point. But I think the idea got across. What the button actually does is he will call this specific macro here, erase one row, and this macro leads to the second row in this table being erased. So whenever you have a specific macro or did some of your own programming in Visual Basic, you can just assign the corresponding macros to buttons, so you can directly via the worksheet press one of the buttons, get the results from the corresponding program. So this allows you to build some kind of small user interface to your corresponding Excel sheet. And well, that's done already everything I wanted to mention in the course of this small unit. So how can I use those controls to call on my macros, to have him execute one of my pre-recorded or programmed macros? Well, I hope you enjoyed this unit. If you want to see additional units, feel free to visit the rest of the course or have a look in the corresponding playlist. I say goodbye and see you next time.